Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a Roadmaster Falcon all-terrain tow bar, and I'm going to walk through how to install the Roadmaster Tow Bar repair kit. Now, the reason we want a repair kit is if we have an older tow bar, maybe the arms are starting to corrode a little bit, they're a little bit hard to slide in and out, maybe they get stuck. The repair kit's going to come with all new bushings for not only this end, but everything in between here, and also up here on the end that connects to the vehicle. So it's going to give you everything you need to get new bushings put on, so everything moves nice and fluent, just like you had when you bought it new. The kit is going to come with a new nut here, a new nut for here, all of your nylon bushings, not only for the spec side as I mentioned earlier, but also everything in between here. And then at the end here, where the end of our brackets are that tie into our vehicle, it's going to come with nylon bushings as well as a new bolt and new nut for these ends. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's walk through how to get it installed. So before we start our installation on replacing the internal components on this and cleaning it up, I want to show you why we want to do this. You notice this bar is pretty roughed up. Well, the inside of this square tube here, it has a little bracket that slides in and out of there, and if it gets gunked up, it makes it real hard to get that bar in and out. You can see this one is kind of a pain to get it to move. So what we want to do is we're going to replace the bushings on the front here. We're going to replace all the bushings on the back side here so that it will free it up and move a little bit easier. So to start, what we're going to do is this end here, and take note of how it is attached on there. We're going to take this end off. So if you notice, this is the top of our tow bar. Notice how that's facing in. We're just going to spin that as much as we can here. We're going to take a 1/4 inch Allen wrench for one side, and we'll use a 9/16 for the nut. We'll remove that. And your kit's going to come with new bolts, so we won't need these. We're also going to be replacing the 2 bushings, so we won't need those. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to mark where it is on the bar, and then we're going to unscrew it because this rod has to slide out the other end. We'll just take a marker just like that. I will just thread this off. You can kind of see all the gunk that's coming out of there. We're going to get all that stuff cleaned up. This bolt that runs in between the 2 arms is going to have to come off. Now, these plates aren't on there correctly, which I'll show you how to put them on correctly once we get this arm cleaned out. But to get this off, you're going to need a 5/8 Allen head. And you're going to need an 1 1/8" socket for the nut side. We're going to take this one off first, and then we're going to remove this one. Now you're going to want to hold on to these and these, because these and these 2 washers are going to go back on. On the back side, you're going to have a plastic cap. We're going to pry that cap off, and we're going to slide our bar out the end. You're going to get replacement caps, so if you have to, if you mess this up, don't worry about it. We're going to be putting new ones on. We'll just take a flathead screwdriver, kind of feed it in along the edge, and pry that cap out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slide our bar out of the end. And you can see how dirty that is. This is what I was talking about that slides inside of this square tube. You can see how gunked up it is. That's what keeps it from sliding in there. So we need to get all that cleaned out, as well as the inside of the square tube itself. We're going to start by cleaning off our rod. It really doesn't matter, you can start with either one. But you want to make sure you use a water-soluble cleaner. Voom RV cleaner works great for getting some of that gunk off. So we're going to take it and we're just going to spray it on there. This stuff kind of smells like Windex almost. So it really doesn't have a hard, strong smell to it. I'm going to let that soak in for a minute before I wipe it off. I'm going to take my square tube, I'm going to spray it down inside and get that all over inside of there. Let that soak in for just a second, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take paper towel and we're going to wipe them off. We'll take a paper towel and we'll shove it down inside, and we're going to try and get as much of that stuff out of there as we can until we think it's clean enough. We're going to rinse it out with water, dry it, make sure it's dried before we put all of our components back together. And you can see what a difference it made on that bar, getting all that stuff off of there. And what I'm going to do is I'm taking a single paper towel and I'm going right here in the small end. Get that shoved in there. We're going to follow it by another one. You know, it's really up to you how you do this part of it. That's just how I found works. Then you can take a couple of long extensions like this, take the back end, and we're going to push it out to the bottom side. You can see how much gunk and stuff is in there. You just repeat that process until you get it clean. Now we're going to take it over to a hose. We're going to make sure we rinse all the solvent out of the inside and off of the arm. And then we want to make sure it's completely dry before we put it back together. Basically dried out, we've ran our towels through there again, dried out for bar. We're going to let it sit and completely dry. While we do that, we're going to go ahead and take this bolt off. It's going to make it a lot easier when we go to put these arms back together if this is off of the tube. We're going to start putting our arm back together. Your kit's going to come with a bushing. It's going to look like this. Depending on if you have an older or newer Falcon all-terrain tow bar, there's a bushing right here on the end. This is going to be for an older one. If it looks like this, it is not going to be replaced. So we're going to leave that in, and we won't be using these. We're going to take our bar, insert it into the square tube. We want to make sure the square side is facing up towards the top. So wherever your release lever is, you want that facing up towards that. We're going to slide it in like this. You may have to kind of pick up your tow bar and until that slides through. We'll come to the end. We'll go ahead and thread that other piece back on, the end piece back on there, until we hit our mark. And you can see that and what we want, if you look inside of there, the end of our bar has got a moon shape in it. We want that to be lined up with the hole in the side of this end bracket here. Now we're going to put our bracket on the end. You remember, as I mentioned when we were taking it off, take note of how it was sitting. This is the way it's going to be put on. Angle facing in. This is our outside, this is our inside. It's going to come with a new bolt. We're going to start by taking our bolt, we're going to slide it in like this. One of our new bushings, we'll slide it on. And we get our bolt down through the hole. Nylon lock nut on the other side. Now we want to make sure when we tighten this down, we're not over tightening it to where it's squeezing it to where this cannot rotate. We just want it tight enough to where there's not a whole bunch of play in it. Once you get one arm done, you're going to repeat the process for the other arm. So now we'll take our two arms, we're going to take this bracket here, we're going to take one of our bolts, we're going to put on the metal washer, as I mentioned to hold on to. We're going to feed it through like this. You notice I'm using the one that has the sticker on the top. It's going to be my top one. If your sticker is wore out, you'll notice that this plate here, the shape of it, this is going to be your top bar, or top plate I should say. We're going to slide it in like that. We're going to put on a nylon washer. We're going to take this plate, slide it on, put another nylon washer on. We're going to take our other arm, and you may want to have two people to help you do this. Once you get your bolt in and this bracket in, we need to get another nylon bushing right down inside of here. So once we get that bushing in, you may take a pair of vice grips and kind of squeeze these together, because this one here is a little bit hard to get in. We're going to get this plate in here like that. It's going to fit in the grooves on that. We'll slide our next bushing down in place. Just like that. And then we'll get one more bushing on this outside. And on the bottom, we'll put our metal washer and then the new nut. We're going to tighten them down tight, but we don't want it so tight that this does not move. Once you get all that tightened down, go ahead and move everything. Kind of move it around. Make sure there's not too much tension on it. If there is tension, you want to loosen up the nut a little bit, because we don't want to wear out the bushings that we just put in. So we'll move this around. You can see we got plenty of movement with that. Move our arms. Make sure that these are not real tight again. And we're good. Once you've made any adjustments necessary, you're ready to go. It's going to do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster repair kit for Falcon and Nighthawk all-terrain tow bars.